Good morning. Today we are going to talk about anatomy of foregut. First of all, we should know what is gut. So, as we know, gut is divided into three parts: foregut, midgut, and hindgut. And this is actually depending on the embryological development. As you can see here, the early on in the fetal development, the gut was a long tube and it needed blood supply. The three blood supplies were, or three branches were, siphoned or sectioned as per the name is there. Like celiac artery will be for the foregut, cranial mesenteric artery, that is also known as superior mesenteric artery for midgut, portal mesenteric artery or inferior mesenteric artery will be given to the hindgut, and this is afterwards there will be almost too much twisting of this straight tube, and it ultimately converted to different parts of the abdomen as we know. So first of all, the foregut begins in the esophagus and ends in the duodenum at the level of major duodenal papilla. Then midgut is the continuation of the foregut starting in the distal duodenum and ending two-thirds of the way through the transverse colon, and hindgut starts from the two-thirds way through the transverse colon and ends two-thirds way through the anal canal. So these are the three big divisions of the gut. Now let's see about the foregut. So in foregut we are going to get some portions known as GI tube or gastrointestinal tube. Then there will be certain glands and one for specifically for the immunity. There is one thing you can see. This is esophagus. The purple color thing is esophagus, is a connecting tube. Then stomach, it is a collecting organ. Whatever food we eat, it is being collected here. Then duodenum, the kitchen of, that is the place where the digestion is basically taking place. Then there are glands. It is liver, gallbladder, pancreas, and this is spleen. So this particular thing is the further division of our foregut, that is regional overview. Now one by one we will see in very short term, like esophagus. First of all, the esophagus is a muscular tube that transports food from the pharynx to stomach. It is basically from the oropharynx to stomach through a process known as peristalsis. Peristalsis is movement. It is so good at its job that it still works if you are upside down. If you are opposite also, it is going to be do its normal function. Now there is a point known as esophageal varices. Esophageal varices are often a sign of portal hypertension. If left untreated, can be cause the bleeding, which can be fatal in cells. Blood from the lower one-third of esophagus is drained into the gastric veins. If there is excess pressure in the portal system, venous blood will be drained up to these esophageal veins into the esophagus veins bypassing the liver. The veins become more distended since they are not made to handle this much of high pressure. So this in the gastroscopy image, you will see the bleedings within the walls. You can simply see there. It is the esophageal varices. Then talking about the regional anatomy of this particular region, that is esophagus. Upper portion is continuous with pharynx. Lower part portion is attached by stomach at the junction known as gastroesophageal junction. Okay. Travels between the trachea and vertebral bodies. In between them, these esophagus is present. Thoraco-abdominal transition occurs at T10. Remember, at T10 level, the esophagus is going to pass through the diaphragm and enter into the abdominal cavity. So there are three important relations. First with the trachea, then primary bronchus, and then diaphragm. Okay. So this is the, you can say esophagus has two parts. One the thoracic esophagus, you can say, other the abdominal. Abdominal esophagus is a very small part. Now on the structural, you can see the esophagus is an integral in transporting the bolus into the stomach. It is 18 to 25 centimeter long muscular tube, has three parts: cervical part, it is the proximal portion, then the thoracic part. It is a transitional phase from the striated muscle proximal in the upper section to the mixed, striated and smooth, and to all smooth in the lower section. So all three types of muscles are going to be found in the thoracic region. Then abdominal part, it has all the smooth muscles only. So these are the three parts of the esophagus. You can see a transverse view also. This is the muscular part, and there is a lumen. Lumen changes. This is longitudinal muscle layer. Contraction shortens the esophagus. Circular muscle, it is going to produce the contractions. Then muscular or mucosal layer, which has mucosa and submucosa, which are going to secrete certain fluids. Okay. So next organ which we have to see is the stomach. So stomach is a muscular sac with a capacity of nearly 1500 ml in adults. Its functions are both chemical, mechanical, and digestion, and temporarily it is storage part of the food. Nervada, it is very specifically said ama asaya, is where the undigested food is going to take the rest. The mechanical part will be done by the parasitic contraction of the gastric muscles. Chemical part will be done by certain enzymes with a combination of SCL, pepsin, and other digestive enzymes. There is a disease known as GERD, which is very common. It is gastroesophageal reflux disease. It is a common disease where the lower esophageal sphincter (LES) is not able to prevent the gastric content from re-entering of the esophagus. Means there will be reflux of acids into the esophagus. Then that's why there will be some burning sensation, and it is one of the differential diagnosis point for the heart pain or heart attack also. On the regional anatomy, if you see, it is situated in the left hypochondric epigastric umbilical region of the left upper quadrant, connects with the abdominal esophagus at the esophageal junction with the duodenum at the pyrolic orifice, connects to the liver via gastrohepatic ligament of the lesser omentum, connects to the colon via gastrocolic ligament of the greater omentum, attachment to the spleen by the gastrosplenic ligament. Whatever ligament you are seeing, this is actually the modification of our peritoneum itself. And to see this particular, we have to remove the livers. You can see the liver is moved upward. Then you can see the whole of the heart. So let's see gastrohepatic ligament. नाम से पता चल रहा है gastrohepatic means between gastro and hepatic means the less the lesser curvature of the stomach and hepatic. Gastrocolic means between the colon and the greater curvature of the stomach. A point is there gastroesophageal junction. The junction makes the esophagus and the stomach with marked by the transition. There is change in epithelium. That is stratified squamous epithelium in esophagus is going to change in the simple columnar epithelium. You can see this is the squamous epithelium, and next it will be the columnar. Columnar means the pillar-like arrangement will be there, tall columns like. On the structural basis, you see it is going to have different parts. First of all, cardiac part or cardia, it connects the esophagus to the stomach, contains cardiac sphincter, prevents stomach content from moving back into the esophagus. Then there is a fundus, it is rounded just below to the diaphragm. Then there is a bigger part, body, it is the main part of the stomach where food is mixed and begins breaking down. Then greater curvature, superior attachment point of the greater omentum. Then inferior attachment point. Then antrum, it is the lower part of the stomach, holds broken down food for the release into the duodenum. Then pyrolus, it connects stomach to the duodenum containing the pyrolic sphincter. If you want to see the musculature, then there are different types of layers of them. Longitudinal muscle, it is outer layer. Circular muscle, it is a middle layer, extends to the pyrolic sphincter. Then oblique muscle, inner layer, unique to the stomach. Remember, this is unique to the stomach and creates the motion to the physically break down the food. The churning of food is done by especially this. Then there are certain ruggies are there, means these are ridges of smooth muscles on the interior surface, increases the surface area for more efficient nutrient absorption, helps mechanical digestion, and allows the stomach to stretch for the larger meals. So these are the, you can say, histological point of the stomach. Next part which we have to see is the duodenum. Duodenum is the beginning of the small intestine. Remember, it is the beginning of small intestine. A common disease related to this is duodenum or peptic ulcers. It is the lesions in the mucosa of pyrolic canal or duodenum, usually associated with the infection called as Helicobacter pyroli, most common in the posterior wall of the proximal duodenum. In the severe cases, duodenal ulcer can erode the gastroduodenal artery, resulting in the severe hemorrhage also. Talking on the point of regional anatomy, it is a continuous with gastric pyrolus. You can see this is gastric pyrolus, and on the further side to the jejunum. It is connected to the liver and gallbladder by the common bile duct. Very important. It is connected to pancreas by pancreatic duct and accessory pancreatic duct. The point of transition from foregut to midgut is also going to occur here, because after that the organs will start for the midgut type. So major duodenal papilla and minor duodenal papilla. These are the two points. Then there is the suspensory muscle of duodenum, which is important. The suspensory muscle of duodenum anchors the duodenal flexor to the posterior abdominal. You can see this is the suspensory muscle of the duodenum. Origin is right crus of the diaphragm. Insertion is in the duodenal jejunal flexor. It marks a transition point between the upper and lower gastrointestinal tract. Very important. Very frequently asked in Viva. It is an important radiological point in the diagnosis of malnutrition of gut also. So remember this suspensory muscle of the duodenum. On the structural basis, if you see, it is C-shaped, 25 to 30 centimeter in length. Important for digestion, it is the house of entry site for the enzyme. Whatever enzymes is coming from the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas, they all are going to get accumulate here and do their function here only. It regulates the emptying of stomach because pyrolytic sphincter is attached to it. Facilitates the enzymatic degradation of acid enzyme and conducts neutralized acid chyme to jejunum via peristaltic muscular contraction. Next organ which we have to discuss is liver. Liver is a very important organ. Very vast functions are there. It has great regenerative capacity of all the organs. The common disease which occurs here is cirrhosis. It frequently a result of chronic alcoholism, but can also be from the viral hepatitis, cystic fibrosis, fatty liver disease. Many causes are there. Healthy hepatocytes are destroyed and replaced by the fibrotic disease. You can see the difference in the diagram also. Livers become firm and blood vessels become compressed. One of the most common cause of the portal hypertension. Now talking about the regional anatomy of this particular organ, it is situated primarily in the upper left and upper right abdominal quadrants. Ligamentum venosum attaches to the portal vein within the porta hepatis and may be continuous with a round ligament. Gallbladder is attached by a cystic duct. These are the some attachments. Gallbladder you can see on the posterior surface of the liver. Structural basis, it is a large triangular shaped gland that carries out essential hemostatic function like metabolism, detoxification, nutrient storage, bile production. Remember, bile is produced here, stored in the gallbladder, synthesis of factors and protein for the blood clotting also. So these are certain by right lobe, left lobe. It's a bare area. Bare area means the area which is not covered by peritoneum. And you can see certain modifications of peritoneum known as ligament here. Triangular ligaments, right and left. Coronary ligament, right and left. Falciform ligament and round ligament. These are the certain modifications. Next, most of the vascular supply, 75% of liver is via portal vein. Very important to remember. Carrying the metabolites absorbed from the intestine. The remainder 25% is from the hepatic artery. And this is the inferior surface of our visceral surface. Because the name is visceral because it is kept on different organs. So you can see left lobe has gastric impression, means there is some part of stomach in this particular cell. Then you can see the round ligament more clearly. And quadrate lobe, pautate lobe, ligamentum venosum, hepatic portal vein, gallbladder is also present here along with hepatic proper artery, common hepatic duct, duodenal impression, renal impression, and colic impression. So these impressions you have to remember for your Viva also, and the model is going to be shown to you. This is the again a diagram organ. Here you can see left lobe, right lobe, quadrate lobe, gallbladder. Gallbladder here it is shrinkage because the bile has been excluded out. Then fissure for round ligament, common hepatic duct, right hepatic. So this was the summarized manner of the liver. Next organ is gallbladder. Gallbladder actually stores and concentrates or does not produce. This is the most important thing which you know. The disease which occur here is gallstones. Gallstones are deposits of hardened bile. They are relatively common, usually forming in gallbladder. They can cause pain, biliary colic. If gallstone does not pass quickly, they cause the buildup of the bile in the gallbladder that results in acute cholecystitis. These are the different features which you can see in the dissected part. On the structural basis, if you see, the gallbladder is a small, hollow, pear-shaped organ, typically 7 to 10 centimeter in length. It functions as the storage and concentration of the bile. If you see the different parts, you can see there is fundus, body, infundibulum, neck, cystic duct, right hepatic duct, left hepatic duct, common bile duct, pancreatic duct. If you see the bile flow, the normal bile flow is like this. Okay, means the bile is coming from the liver, then it's going to be stored in the gallbladder. There it's going to be concentrated, and then concentrated will go to the bile duct into the duodenum along with the pancreatic juice. If there is colic system, then what will happen? The bile will directly go towards the duodenum, means there will be no storage process. So patient will still produce the bile, but now it will flow directly to the liver, to the lumen of the duodenum, making it less concentrated. Okay, but normally functions are going to be happen. Next organ which we have to discuss is pancreas. Pancreas is both endocrine and exocrine. Now sometimes it's called as mesocrine gland also. On the basis of structure, you can see endocrine functions, that is synthesizes and releases the, sorry, first we'll talk about the structure. So externally you can see it divided to head, neck, body and tail, and a very important uncinate process. In internal point, if you see there are different type of ducts are there. Accessory pancreatic duct, it's going to open the minor duodenal papilla, then major duodenal papilla, there will be hepatopancreatic ampulla, there is going to open the main pancreatic duct. Functions, it has two functions. Endocrinal function, it is going to secrete the somatostatin, insulin, glucagon into the circulatory system. Exocrine system, it secretes pancreatic juice which contain different types of enzymes with bicarbonate into the duodenal lumen. Next and the last one which we have to discuss here is spleen. Even though spleen is an important part of immune system, you can live without it. It's just saying here it. So structurally the spleen is a fat first fish size. Fish means just like your fish organ that filters the red blood cells and stores the 1/3 of the blood platelet and 1/4 of the white. It is the largest secondary lymphoid organ. The largest secondary consists of white pulp and red pulp. Vascular segments are important here. Spleen is highly vascular organ, mostly supplied by splenic artery. The splenic artery runs into the splenorenal ligament and branches into 5 vessels as it reaches the spleen. These branches do not anastomose with each other, giving rise to the vascular segments of the spleen. This enables the surgeon to remove one of these segments without affecting the other. If something is going to happen, the surgeon can remove it also. This is a small summary about the spleen. I think everybody knows the spleen is also known as the graveyard of the RBCs. Now talking about the blood supply, as I have already told you, it will be from the celiac trunk, which is a part of abdominal aorta, and you can see a branching is given here. It will go to the left gastric, then right gastric, proper hepatic, right hepatic, cystic, left hepatic, common hepatic will give you the supraduodenal, gastroduodenal. So this particular thing you have to by heart the different branches. You can by heart with the help organ wise, or you can overall also you can see this particular diagram. There are certain variations are also there. Typically, the right gastric artery arises with the proper hepatic artery and an osmosis with the left gastric artery after traveling along the lesser curvature. But sometimes there is one exception that it may arise from the common hepatic artery also. Then, if you see the arterial by the organs, so organ by organ, you can see how it is going to give the supply to the particular part. Like if you see the spleen, celiac trunk, this is celiac trunk, then it goes to common hepatic, splenic will go to the spleen side, then gastroduodenal. So produodenal means, as the name suggests, so is the branch, proper hepatic. This is the abdominal aorta, the blue part, evacuate the thoracic aorta, okay, and dorsal pancreatic is there. So different thing. Venous drainage, you can see the blood from the foregut drains into the liver via portal vein, which is very important. Hepatic vein, then portal vein, superior mesenteric vein, gastroepiploic vein, splenic vein, gastric vein, and cystic vein. What is hepatic portal system? Very important. The hepatic portal system allowed the nutrient-rich venous blood from the digestive system to drain into the liver instead into the systemic circulation. This permits the nutrients in the blood to process before the blood returns into the heart. This is the systemic presentation. Portal vein, liver, hepatic vein, cystic vein, left gastric splenic vein. It forms the cystic vein. Then superior mesenteric vein. Then there are certain tributaries. So this is all for this topic, and we will continue the peritoneum in some separate part.